Welcome back to Adelaide, the Porsche Challenge. You can see the cars now on their warm-up lap, warming up the tyres, hitting up the engines, getting ready for a 10-lapper that should be pretty interesting. We'll go through the grid for you. There are a lot of cars here, 33 cars at Adelaide, which is quite amazing. Lovett is on the pole with a time of 1:46.60. Then there's Morgan, Peter Fitzgerald, that's been around in this class of car for a long, long time. Jarrett, Muhlengrath, and then Witham. Nichols, Hones, Loiper, Wallace, Trihorn and Nicolaides. They're the main players in this particular race. Now, Alan Jones, you can go back with a Porsche car to 1982 when you drove for Alan Hamilton, Porsche Australia, in a 935, and you're unbeatable in that car. You won the series.
Yeah, it was a great car, 935. It had a heap of horsepower. We had about 750 horsepower, and it was a really big of a car to drive, but it was great because it had a heap of horsepower, and having the engine in the back of the car, when you accelerated, it literally almost used to lift its front wheels off the ground. And you had to judge that and allow for it, and it made it quite interesting, to say the least.
I'd imagine they'd be a handful round here.
Yeah, they are. I mean, particularly the turbo ones, because they have the lag and then it comes in. And as you can see, it's a 10-lapper. The track distance is 3.778 kilometres, and the race distance is 37.78 kilometres.
During the year, of course, the championship has been run and won. Mike Tankard, Chris Stannard and Trevor John in car 7, 35 and 49 took out the respective places, 1, 2 and 3. But interesting enough, the winning car was a Class B car, and the two other cars, second and third, were Class C cars. So we'll see them all in action here. We've explained that to you, the differences. Ready for the lights to come on and racing. Red lights, 5 seconds to go. Plenty of horsepower now as the Porsches rev up and come off the line, and all getting away to a good start. No, number 6 is out. We'll come back to that in a moment as they come up to the end of the straight and through the first of the corners.
Yeah, Peter Fitzgerald is a front engine car, probably the best handling car in this leading group. He's really got to take advantage of these first couple of corners, because the other cars, although being rear engine, won't go around the tight corners as well as him. They'll certainly have longer legs down that straight. You can see Peter's all over. He's trying to get through now because he really has to try and get past these cars and pull out a little bit of a gap before they get into the main straight. He's actually being held up a little bit. And if he doesn't, you can watch the turbo cars. They'll romp away down that long straight.
Well, Greg Lovett doing a pretty good job at the moment out in front of the white car. He did take pole with practice yesterday and really starting to get a little bit of a buffer, if you could call that a buffer, in this class of racing. But, Alan, it is interesting to note that some of the investments here are up as high as $200,000 with the Class A cars, and we're talking something like $150,000 for the Class B, and around about $80,000 to get into a production car, and that's without any running costs. That's no racing costs included in that.
Well, and of course, a lot of them are collector's cars now. There's some very rare, valuable cars out there, and I'm not real sure. There's someone having a big go up on the inside, but I'm not sure if they did dent them now, whether the parts would even be available. Yep, good move on the inside.
So, as we watch there, as Chris Muhlengrath came up on the inside and moved up a spot, but it's still Lovett out in front in car 16. That's a Class A car, doing it pretty well. Can't really shake the opposition, though. So, coming up again for the end of the second of the laps. There's 10, of course, in this race, so there'll be 8 to go. You can see the rear engine cars, they bog down and bang, away goes that horsepower. Okay, Australia, stand by, because it's now time to take you to racing of another kind, the second leg of the daily double at Randwick, race 7, the Striking Force Handicap. Johnny Tapp, named after a very famous horse. And welcome back, having a look now at Greg Lovett, way out in front, doing it pretty well as he's done off the pole position. We'll come back with the Porsche Cup shortly. Stay with us. Back to Adelaide, Porsche Challenge, 3 of 10 gone now. It's Lovett, Jarrett, Fitzgerald. The real battle between Jarrett and Fitzgerald at the moment. Then Morgan, Nichols and Loiper. That's how they run. But now Fitzgerald has fallen off the pace a little bit back in third place. But Lovett, he's done a great job, really, throwing the car around. He's been pretty aggressive the way he's attacked this circuit.
He has. He did a really good start, and he's pacing himself, and he's driving that thing really well. I thought Peter would have been probably a little bit further up, because I would think the two cars in front would be harder on their tyres than Peter's car. His car's a lighter car, front engine, probably, as I said before, should be considerably better handling through the tight, twisty sections. And being a lighter car, could be a little better under brakes. But there's still 6 laps to go, and it would be interesting to see if all that comes into play later on.
And that really brightly coloured lime green and blue car is Ken Jarrett back in 4th place here. Whoa, a little bit of a touch here. Oh, no. Oh,
40
no.
grand, 50 grand, 60 grand.
Oh, you can see the hand slap the roof. That's expensive. Well, I guess if you're going to race around a circuit like this, you can't tippy-toe around it. If you make a mistake, the end result is you're going to hit something.
These blokes don't muck around. I mean, they really do take their racing quite seriously. They've got really good transporters, some of them, and they spend a lot of time, effort, and obviously money. Here we go, up on the inside. Oh, the boy didn't give anything away. He wasn't going to be... There.
Tony Williams in car 66, and the bang of the roof. He just, look what's happened to me.
He had the P plate on the back.
Well, now we can see a little bit of action coming up this way now, because Lovett getting pressured a little bit more now by car 18.
That's Jeff Morgan. It's a Carrera, quite a valuable car. They were only made in very limited numbers and a lightweight body and very stark interior. They were actually brought that way from the factory, and quite a collector's car. Whoops, a little bit sideways there as he comes out.
Fantastic shape car, Alan, and when you consider that this shape now is like 29 years old, and there was talk from the factory to change the shape of the car, the 911, there was an outcry all around the world.
Well, every time they threaten to bring out a new shape or a different shape, that's exactly what happens. There's an outcry from all over the world. So all they do is put a different spoiler on the back and modify the front and round it out a bit. Although the new car, even though it's similar in looks, the Carrera 2 and the Carrera 4 is a much changed car. It has quite dramatic geometry differences, but outwardly it looks very similar to these cars.
Gee, Jarrett's having a big go now, and some traffic coming up too, so this may be the chance he needs. We've seen this happen today. Once the fast cars get amongst the slow ones here in Adelaide, you can see the driver there of car 13 waving him through to give him as much room as the pair of them to let them go through. But we've seen some changes in race taxi here throughout the day with the traffic. So now bunched up 1 and 2.
This will be interesting to see who's got the quicker car down the straight, because they both came out of that corner. Yeah, he's gone to the inside. He's going to make him work for it. Yeah, no. Lovett's car probably a little longer leg down the straight.
So Lovett retains the lead. Jarrett now putting a lot of pressure on him under brakes. He'll try and get the run up the corner. It's a little bit of dance going up as he comes into that corner, looking for the run out of the corner. Puts it up on the inside. But Lovett's only got to hold the racing line there to hold him out.
Yeah, Morgan got on the power just a little earlier then and came on quite cleanly. Was able to have a run at him, but to no avail because he's going into a series of corners. He may have a go now on the inside of this hairpin leading into the start finish. I know. He covered himself well. Lovett covered himself well. He came over to stop Morgan doing that.
It's up against across the start finish line once again. Lovett still holding Jarrett out as they come across, and coming through there, the cars really do dance across that circuit. You can see you hit the curve, up come the wheels. Jarrett really in hard now, under brakes.
Actually, I apologise, I've been calling him Morgan. Jarrett did a fantastic start.
It's been, there was a mix-up in the program, Al, that's the problem, and sometimes when we've got so many cars in at 33, we only need a little mix-up here in the commentary box. It's a little hard to know every driver and every car combination, but it's certainly at the moment we've got Lovett leading from Jarrett, 16 and 18, 2 Group A cars. Traffic again.
He'll be balked. Oh, he did the right thing, got well over the way.
One of the production cars getting way out of the way, but this is a good dice, isn't it?
Fantastic. I tell you what, he won't want to make one little mistake, one missed gear change, and Jarrett will have him.
So now we see on this big long Brabham straight again. He'll try and get a bit of a slipstream going this time. He doesn't really tuck him as tight as I thought he would. No,
you're right. I noticed that too. He should stick right behind him and then pull out later on. He seems to pull out a bit too early. He won't go around the outside, that's for sure.
Comes up to the outside, hoping to get that inside run. That's what he wanted to do, to poke it up on the inside, but that's not the tactic there.
No, there's not enough room. You're no sooner out of that right-hander than you're going into the left-hander, and you'd have to have twice the horsepower and put it to the road to be able to make that sort of move successful.
Similar-looking cars in preparation, colour scheme, and in performance. You can't get much more even than this. They've really run away from the rest of the field at the time. Now, there's a lot of traffic ahead this time, and they may pick them up at the end of the straight. This could be really interesting.
Yeah, down into the chicane. That's exactly right.
So Lovett holding out Kenny Jarrett in second place at the moment. They've really stritted the field at the moment. Here's the traffic we talked about, right where we thought they'd meet them.
Actually, I tell you what, they're doing the right thing, the back markers. They're all obviously looking in the mirrors and getting out of the way for the front runners, which is great to see.
Lovett attacking this circuit, and so has Jarrett, but Lovett has done it from the green light. He took pole, been the fastest car over the weekend's qualifying, certainly came out of the blocks well. Kenny Jarrett made a fantastic start, but now losing a little ground there. He probably lost a little bit in that encounter with a green Porsche.
I think the guy in the green Porsche did the right thing and got out of the way, and I'm not sure why he dropped back. There we go. Now there's another one in front. It really just will be a matter of Lovett being balked and not being able to get onto the straight as quickly as he'd like, and I think Jarrett will take advantage of that.
Through they come. He's not close enough to get in behind him and get that slipstream, which he really should have done the previous lap.
No, Lovett had a much cleaner line. That's a very important corner, that right hand on the straight, because if you get a really good clean run through that, it really does affect your revs, and you can see he's pulled out. And unfortunately, Jarrett had to take a much tighter line to get past that back marker, and that really would have knocked some revs off him down the straight.
They really move around under brakes.
Yeah, well, I've got to tell you, I don't think they're the best handling cars in the world, because in theory they have no weight over the front axle, the engine's past the rear axle, and they're a car that for the uneducated, and there's been many a businessman that's walked in and bought a turbo Porsche and driven it up the road and taken delivery on a rainy day and had to walk back for another one.
Still expensive exercise.
Well, you know, it's a pendulum effect, because the engine's so far back, and if the car starts to go sideways on you and you come off the accelerator, because you've got the weight swinging around the pendulum, you can lose them very easily. And the thing to do with a Porsche is if the back starts to come out, you've actually got even more acceleration to push it.
So, 2 laps to go. Lovett doing it well out in front, as he's done from the green light. Kenny Jarrett's done everything he can to throw out a challenge to Lovett. Dropped off the pace now. Oh, very sideways there. Lots of opposite lock.
He dropped a little bit then. You can see that Jarrett caught him up a little bit. He had to come off the accelerator. Hands all over the wheel. Whoops, a daisy.
Gone. Lovett spins it out.
Whoops.
And Jarrett just sneaks through underneath him too well. He's led from the word go, and he had that half lose and then a big one. Fitzgerald comes through as well. Interesting stuff now. We've got a motor race.
Yeah, it looked to me as if his tyres, Lovett's tyres, were starting to go off. The car was getting a little bit towy under brakes at the rear, and it was starting to slide out more and more on the exit of the corners. And sure enough, that's what happened.
Now that's second, third and fourth you're looking at there now, with Peter Fitzgerald in the red car moving into second place. Jeff Morgan's back in that brightly coloured car we talked about, and of course Lovett sandwiched between them after he spins. So he'll want to try and make amends. Here we go again, AJ.
Yeah, he's coming in, he goes a bit wide, puts lots of lock on, gets up on the ripple strip, and she's all over Red Rover.
Locks everything up and slides over, and pretty lucky here because Kenny Jarrett did a nice job. He hit the brakes, lined it up, and went through nicely.
Well, when you're on a road circuit like this and you have a lose, you've just got to get onto those brakes as quick as you can and retard the car retard the car in any way you can, because if you continue to let the car roll, you will hit the wall. This is interesting now, look.
Well, this is the last lap, and Peter Fitzgerald now has Lovett behind him. He has Morgan behind him. So that's the battle now. Look at them throwing the wheels up in the air. Desperate stuff now. Kenny Jarrett's only got to keep it together. He should win. This is the interest for second, third and fourth. Lovett, of course, led all the way. Now back in third spot, chasing Fitzgerald.
Oops.
Fitzgerald throwing the car all over the track, getting pretty sideways.
If Jarrett can keep fairly close to Peter going onto the straight, the extra horsepower that he's got should allow him to get past Peter down the straight. But he's got to be able to get close enough to take advantage of that as they go onto the straight.
Lovett sitting in behind. Peter Fitzgerald as they come around now. Fitzgerald in the red car.
Yeah, I think Peter's just, that's what he's done. He's used those slower corners. He's pulled out a little bit of a lead, and I think he may have, that might be sufficient to keep him in front.
So Peter Fitzgerald in second place, our race leader. Kenny Jarrett's done a good job. He avoided all of the spin of Greg Lovett. Took first place from him. Smoke pouring out of one of the cars. They come down the straight. Should get that off the track as quickly as possible. So Kenny Jarrett is going to take this Porsche Cup out here at Adelaide, no doubt about that. Here's the interest in second place, and look at this Porsche get it off the track, blowing oil and smoke and goodness knows what out the back of it, and getting in everybody's way as well. Well, that's terrible driving. That's really bad. On the line and everything on the last lap. So Ken Jarrett coming around onto the main straight. He'll take this out. Well, he hustled and kept the pressure on, and that's what motor racing's all about. So he'll be pretty happy with that. Convincing win to Kenny Jarrett. Second place, definitely going to be to Peter Fitzgerald. Greg Lovett, who led for all of that time before the spin, and Jeff Morgan comes home in fourth place. Interesting race, finishing up with a surprise winner. Back shortly to Adelaide.